Every week we hear stories of new products struggling to get market access. This is a reminder that even in great companies with clinically effective products, they struggle to adapt to a market environment in which the definition of value has shifted fundamentally. Industry leaders always cite this as a big issue. How can the cost of developing innovative products be reconciled with peers' focus on reducing costs? And since it is such a huge issue, let me suggest how my research into the evolution of the life sciences industry might throw some practically useful light onto this problem. You see, market access is a co-evolutionary problem. Peer systems and industry business models are tied together in a co-evolutionary process in which change in one is both restricted and encouraged by change in the other. If you need a biological parallel, think of hummingbirds and the flowers that they pollinate. The truth is that both partners have to evolve together, and if one does so slower than the other, then they can only co-evolve at the pace of the slowest. I read recently a great presentation by Ansgar Hedblom, who was head of market access at Roche, and it was about the challenges of demonstrating value to peers. And it reminded me of those three-legged races at school where the class athlete is always frustrated by being tied to the class snail. So if we're to solve the market access problem, we've got to get both the innovative companies and peer organisations like HTAs and evolving faster, which means that they have to acquire new genes faster. And that's where my slightly provocative title about sex comes in. Daniel Dennett, the brilliant philosopher and scientist, describes sex as a good evolutionary trick, because sexual reproduction is a great way to get new genes and to accelerate evolutionary adaptation. Now, forgive me if the link to life science companies and peers isn't clear, but I am coming to that. The point about sexual reproduction is it acquires genes from outside. Primitive societies often placed a high value, for instance, on brides from other tribes because it added to their gene pools, so increasing the chance that their new genes might improve their survival advantage. Now, in evolutionary economics, the analogue of genes are organisational routines and processes. So co-evolutionary theory suggests that the way for life science companies to evolve faster, or co-evolve faster, is to import such routines from outside of their tribe. But what do we observe when life science companies try to develop market access capabilities? In practice, they go to the same consultants as all of their competitors, and they ask for industry best practice. That doesn't lead to new vital capabilities. It's the industry equivalent, the economic equivalent of having sex with one's siblings. And peers are a little better. They share HTA techniques, for example, within a pretty small gene pool. In short, we, both the industry and the peers, are struggling to reconcile innovation and costs because it requires genes that don't currently exist in our tribe. But we've been here before. See, around the turn of the 19th, 20th century, there was a similarly massive market shift this way, away from patent medicines and towards science-based therapies. At that time, our industry, which was embryonic, didn't have the organisational routines, the genes, to develop those new technologies, so it needed to acquire new genes and new capabilities. That environmental change led to the mass extinction of many firms and also of a whole business model, the apothecary. The firms that inherited the market were those that acquired genes from outside, for example, animal testing from processes from universities. And I promised you a practical implication for this story. Well, life science companies and peers should stop this incestuous best practice behaviour and start to look outside of their industry for ways of demonstrating value and comparing options. So the IT sector, for instance, provides some great examples of demonstrable value from innovation. The aerospace industry is an exemplar at buying on value and not just buying on price, and so encouraging innovation. But to co-evolve, both life science companies and peers need to learn how to have sex, metaphorically, with strangers.